We made a bingo, and today we're going to be reacting to Antler Boy Live's Ultra Sun Hardcore Nuzlocke Dragon types only. If we get bingo, then the video will immediately end. And if we can make it to the end of the video without getting bingo, then I'll be surprised, and Antler Boy will defeat us.
The Fairy Nation attacked. So am I going to be able to beat the hardest Pokemon game?
Wait, that's a subscribe. Does that count as asks to subscribe? I'm going to say that was a suggestion and not an outright asking to subscribe. It was more of a, there's the button right there. He didn't ask. So I'm not going to count that as ask to subscribe just yet.
Well, with all those extra rules, it's certainly going to be difficult. And we're going to make it that much more difficult by picking Rowlet as our starter, giving Hau Popplio, which eventually evolves into a fairy type.
He gave Hau Popplio. Okay, so that's pretty rough on his end.
Since Rowlet doesn't become a dragon type, we're not going to be keeping it. Instead, the first dragon we can get is found after the first Gumshoe's trial in Verdant Cavern. And who might this epic dragon be? It's Noibat.
If he kills this and this dies, then that counts as the starter dying, because that's technically a starter.
Defense nature, which is pretty terrible considering that any Pokemon that faints in this run is boxed forever. I certainly can't complain about the special attack boost though. But the real kicker about getting Noibat as our very first Pokemon is that we have to face a few battles in the game before we can get anything else, the first of which being Dulce. And what's so scary about this fight is that Furfrou will 2-hit KO me with a headbutt. The third turn, it hits itself again, and I hit it down into the red. The fourth turn, however,
I don't think that mattered for him.
Out of confusion, hits me with a headbutt down to where I have to heal with my orange.
Oh, we already used the berry. Wow, that was quick. We already got used the berry. Fantastic. We found a mispronunciation, I think, here.
And I hit it down into the red. The fourth turn, however, Furfrou snaps out of.
He says Furfrou when it's supposed to be pronounced
Furfrou.
Furfrou. So it's a little mispronunciation. We'll mark it down for now.
Pitiful speed, so I can at least get off a supersonic, and it actually ends up hitting.
Yeah, everything else in this game has pitiful speed as well. This entire country is the slowest country on the face of the earth.
To get my Bagon on Route 3, I had to look around for 2 hours because this thing is a 1% encounter. But
is it Bagon or is it Bagon? That might also count as a mispronunciation. I'm not sure.
Since a neutral nature is pretty good. I don't know why they did this in Ultra Sun and Moon, but they put a lot of difficult fights in the beginning.
Batman and Superman. We have a nickname theme. It is superheroes. I'm not really sure why it is, but we have a nickname theme there.
And Dexio is no different, but luckily I can take out the Mime Jr. without taking any damage by getting a flinch with Bite. But the real threat in this fight is as Aspeon.
Oh no, the way that the bingo generated it means that we can't get up down. Look at that, Deathless and Death to Ultra Necrozma. Oh no.
That's so good. Which I barely make it through, we have yet another difficult fight.
Wait, did he live on? Oh, what did he live on there? His Pokemon lives on less than 5 health points? He lived on 2! That counts as living on less than 5 HP. That's a big one there.
See, normally I can't level past the next gym leader's highest level Pokemon, but since there are no gyms in Ultra Sun, I'll be scaling off the 4 Kahunas. I will try and stay as close to the trial levels as possible.
I thought that he would be scaling off the trials, but he's going off the Kahunas. Okay.
The reason I didn't want to go for Air Cutter right away is, one, I don't want to get hit by Aurora Beam, but also it would have called Masquerain instead of Dupiter.
Okay, we actually want him to not die here, because if he doesn't die here, doesn't die in the next one, we get no deaths in 3 trials. So come on, keep that baby alive. Let's go.
Come
on, Noibat.
Throws by going for Sticky Web.
Yeah, it's huge.
Another Air Cutter takes out the Dupiter.
You're huge, Batman.
Actually hits
You're amazing, Batman.
Time in a row, after which it calls in its ally Masquerain.
Get rid of that thing. Get out of here.
Critical hit, which doesn't matter since it would have taken out the Araquanid in the end, but it gets
Masquerain down super
low as it paralyzes me with Stun Spore.
You'll live in this. You can't die now.
Damage, but funny enough, it does eat my Citrus Berry, but it's still enough to take out the Masquerain with an Air Cutter. All things considered, that fight could have gone way worse.
Good. If he doesn't die, the next one, we're good.
Little known fact, that's the exact reason I don't have a driver's license. And the reason why I don't have a driving instructor. Our next fight is versus Totem Marowak, which is a perfect fight to show why I think
live and then die afterwards.
The most difficult games to hardcore Nuzlocke.
That's what we want.
The fact that you have to face 2 Pokemon at once during these trial fights can be absolutely devastating. Expecting
Rain Dance. That's a good strat.
Rain Dance just to power down Fire-type moves, but mostly just because there's nothing better to do. As Marowak then calls in Salazzle, I go for a Protect the next turn since it likes to cycle between attacking moves and detect. Predictably, the next turn it does exactly that as I get hit by a Torment.
Abusing the AI? Ooh, we should have put that on there.
I end up going for Protect in between just to have that extra health. The Marowak doesn't end up getting the crit, and I take it out with
no deaths in 3 trials. We just got that. Mark it off on the board. Bottom right is looking sexy. It's looking good. Now we want them to die. That's what we want to happen now.
Pick in this fight since it resists all of Lurantis Lurantis' moves, and even a critical hit X-Scissor doesn't do too much damage. Good thing about having Protect, though, is that we can just protect every other turn, and Lurantis can't do anything to us, and I can freely
Is he just PP stalling now?
Slashes,
he is. Wow. GG's, man. He's doing insane on this so far. He's doing really well.
Wild Pokemon in Lush Jungle, we just have to wait for rainy weather, and any Pokemon can actually call
Dragon Butterfly
as its ally. Now, the great thing about this is we finally have a new team member. The bad thing about it is that Goomy sucks, seriously. But the best thing about this town is that in Ultra Sun version, you can actually buy the Jaw Fossil. And if we head back to Route 8, we can immediately restore it into a Tyrant.
They just sell that for like $20 in a shop. That's insane.
Boosting nature Wonder Woman here is gonna be a bit more useful than Aquaman. What happens to a Pokemon's consciousness when it's been put into a PC box?
Don't ask me those questions.
The big questions aside,
it's too deep for that right now.
Break so that we have as much health as possible facing Lycanroc. After getting flinched once, I get hit by a second bite and manage to
Is it
hit
not
a
using
Brick
Z
Break, which
moves?
does about half health. The next bite gets a crit, but
Why
it
is it
doesn't
not
flinch, and we manage to pull off the Brick Break, beating the Akala Island Grand Trial.
Why are they not using Z moves? I'm very confused.
Olivia. This means we can finally head on to Ula'ula Island. When your Pokemon evolve, do you think they feel like, yes, finally? Well, in the case of my Bagon, he's now allowed to reach level 30 and is the first Pokemon on my team to evolve after about the first half of the game. I'm at least ready to say it's finally time. And unfortunately,
whoa, you got a Shelgon, dude. That's awesome. You can do so many good things with that now. I mean, it's a Shelgon. You can roll it down a hill really fast and it can't do anything about it because it has tiny little legs.
We need to worry about the Ula'ula Island trials, which are some pretty difficult ones with the current set of Pokemon we have. First up is Togedemaru, which usually goes for Spiky Shield the first turn, so I take that opportunity to set up a free rock
That's an
polish.
easy kill.
Togedemaru then
There's no way you
Skarmory,
struggle
which
on.
is another
Oh,
steel-
Skarmory. Wait, that actually sucks to me. You can easily take out the Togedemaru because you have Bulldoze, but the Skarmory, I don't know how you're going to kill
Isn't
that.
that great for Wonder Woman, but I'm really only here to use Charm. After Skarmory uses Tailwind, Togedemaru does outspeed the next turn and go for an Iron Head.
The Tyrant's rolling up like, hey, how's it going? Ha! You wouldn't want to hurt little me, would you? You wouldn't want to do that?
Torment, it took quite a while, but eventually we took down both Togedemaru and Skarmory.
How has he not lost a single Pokemon yet?
Can I ask you to do a favor for me? For the last time, Sophocles, I'm not gonna sign your b****s. Now, you might think it's smooth sailing until we get to the next trial, but we actually have a bit of a mini boss fight versus Guzma here where he only has 2 Pokemon, but his Masquerain is a massive deal. But first we have to deal with Golisopod, so I go for Protect to dodge the first impression, and the next turn I decide to go for a Charm as I dodge a Sucker Punch. I then go for another couple of Charms as I get hit by some weak Razor Shells, after which it's time to swap out into Aquaman.
I can't believe he didn't get critted there.
Just do this to reset the defense.
It's got high critical hit ratio. You're playing with
hit this thing with a Dragon Breath.
Playing with matches.
Swap right back in. This time I don't get a defense drop from the next Razor Shell, and I can set up a Stealth Rock, which is gonna take half of Masquerain's health as soon as it comes out. And now that the rocks are up, it's time to swap out into Batman. And my plan here was basically just to alternate between Protect and Roost until Golisopod was all out of moves except for First Impression. Now that that's the case, we can just start going for Crunch until Golisopod gets below half health, after which Emergency Exit will activate, sending in Masquerain, which unfortunately does have Intimidate, lowering our attack. I know this means we'll probably have to swap.
Oh, that did so much damage. That's ridiculous.
KO, but I end up
nice crit though.
Beating the
Wait, that was a crit. Crit matters for him. I think we marked down that is crit matters for him because that was huge damage there. All he needs to do is mention EV training and then ask people to subscribe and we get bingo.
I'm sorry, I've
Come on.
you.
Come on.
Now that we're able to reach Blush Mountain, it's finally time for us to get our very first actual good Pokemon, Turtonator. And to quickly read you its Shield Pokedex entry.
You can't just catch a Turtonator and be like, this is the good one. This is the peak of our team, baby.
So this is probably going to be the most difficult one yet. In fact, right away, Wonder Woman gets taken down.
Oh, you were
going to
get slapped on this.
After which, I can hit the Mimikyu with a Charm. Fortunately, the Mimikyu misses the Play Rough on the switch, and the Bannet afflicts me with a Curse.
It missed Play Rough? I swear to God, you'd be dead this turn. Well, I mean, maybe not this turn, but next turn, surely.
My health every single turn, but even still, I decide to stay.
He would have been dead.
Play Rough, but I get hit by a Will-O-Wisp from the Bannet, which means that it just barely hangs on after
oh my God.
Crunch. And at the end of the turn, after the Leftovers recovery, Burn, and Curse, it leaves leaves me deep in the red, so I have to swap out the next turn
saves
into
it.
Manhunter. Now, the great thing about this is that Play Rough isn't super effective against
Oh my god, that does
Turtonator.
nothing.
I can't get burned, and my defense is massive. I decide to go for Protect just to get some health back, and the next turn I get hit by a Play Rough and then a Screech, which means that I can take out the Banette with a following Flamethrower. At this point, since Mimikyu's only going to call for Jellicent when it's at a certain health range, I decide to swap out into Batman just to reset that Screech.
Oh my god, that was risky. He lived on 6 health points like that. It could have died immediately, depending on damage rolls.
Play Rough ends up doing a ridiculous amount of damage, leaving me at just 6
He's
HP,
stalling
so
Play Roughs. That's what he's doing.
Stall another Play Rough and then swap back into Martian Manhunter.
PB stalling.
And listen, this is the third notable fight in a row where I deplete the PP of a move as my strategy. At this point, you might as well call me Joe, because I do be stalling. And what you're seeing me do here is set up
What the fuck? What? That came out of nowhere.
as many iron defenses as possible, because
He said, so I had to stall the Play Roughs, which is why I'm Joseph Stalin.
the bad spite habit lets me get off a second shockwave, meaning we can take it down with yet another one, but Cursed Body bans it. Nightshade
Why does
then
Cursed
takes me
Body
down to
work on
1
Shockwave?
HP, and Dragon Breath
That's so
doesn't
weird.
quite take out the Jellicent, meaning that if Shockwave wasn't Cursed Bodied, we would have just...
Oh, he's gonna have to pick a sack here. He's gonna have to... Dude, I can't believe Aquaman lived on 1. Yeah, he's gonna have to pick a sack. Unless he was in a Manhunter, and Manhunter can outspeed the Jellicent, and he can also live a hit. But apart from that, something's gonna die.
taking it out right here. Unfortunately, though, the team is standing on its last legs, so Goomy is gonna have to take...
Aquaman! Rest in peace, Goomy.
This
Goomy
one
is
for the
dead.
team.
That doesn't actually count as anything on the board, though. We can't get Deathless now, but it counts as nothing else.
And much like every other time you face him, he leads off with Golisopod, so I decide to lead with Wonder Woman, and this time, instead of going for Protect, I just tank the first impression and go for a Charm. I then go for another Charm the next turn and decide it's time to swap out into Martian Manhunter. The thing that's so deadly about this is that Turtonator can't be...
Dude, his team is about to quickly go from beta to sigma male. He's evolving everything. They're going to be yoked
because of
to the
shell
gills
armor,
and
so
muscles
I
for
can freely
days.
just boost my defense every single turn and then start going for Shell Smash to set up my attack and speed. And this right here is the exact reason why I didn't show the second Guzma fight, because it pretty much went down the exact same way. I just set up against Golisopod and then tore through
Jesus
his entire
Christ.
team. But I'm glad we didn't have to break too much of a sweat with this one, because what's to come is rough. Hey, what's up with you? How come I can't smash you? That's pretty
Whoa!
ironic, coming from a guy who just
Hey,
got
Guzma.
shell smashed. On the topic of people Guzma would
Got
like
him.
to smash, we have to go up against Lusamine. And she starts
Nice
out with
transition.
our worst nightmare, a fairy type in Clefable, and she instantly goes for Charm as I decide to go for a Shell Smash. I then go for an Iron
There's
Head,
gonna be a lot of
actually
shell
managing to
smashing,
pull
isn't
off
there?
The flinch, which means I can get in another Iron Head, after which Clefable uses Hyper Voice, which does massive damage. However, a third Iron Head is enough to take out Clef. But really, this just makes things a lot worse, since this Milotic has both Dragon Pulse and Icy Wind. But for whatever reason, it decides to go for Hydro Pump against Superman, and on the following turn, it just goes for another Hydro Pump as I hit it with a Toxic. I then go for Protect just to rack up as much damage as possible over time, and the next turn, it continues to go for Hydro Pump, leaving me at...
Okay, so the situation we're in right now, what we need is we need him to get a full team first off, and then immediately after, he loses his starter. That would be awesome, preferably to either status or to a fairy type move. Oh, but Toxic Stall.
21 HP, after which I can hit with
Yes!
a Crunch. Now, after going
He's
for
using Protected Toxic. That is Toxic Skull. So we need him to fail an encounter and lose something to a fairy type move, and we get bingo.
Since this thing's attack is basically 0, I can just swap out into Martian Manhunter, who once again can't be crit, so I can freely set up my Shell Smashes. And at this point, we can just freely take out the rest of her team, and because of Superman's clutch save, we didn't actually lose a single Pokemon in this fight, which I wouldn't have expected. And with
Why is Turtonator hard carrying so much in this? Insane. Shell Smash is such a good move for any kind of hardcore Nuzlocke. If you don't get immediately clapped, then boom, you sweep, you win.
Executor, I go ahead and catch it and name it
There
after
it
the
is.
best Justice League member.
He's got a
Elongated
full
Man.
team. Dude, cringe. You should just let the Executor be all the way up. But we
And
got
with
full
its neutral
team.
Nature, I'm
We got
pretty
that.
happy with it. That's another Habanberry. I then head over to Vast Pony Canyon, where we can find yet another Dragon type Jang Mo-O. The next 3 fights in this game are the most threatening to our team, despite our new lineup.
It's gonna get bad. And by the way, if you haven't done so already, if he's not gonna ask you to subscribe verbally, he's just gonna put something on screen, I'm gonna tell you to subscribe to Antler Boy. Links in the description. Make sure that you do, okay?
And calls an ally Pokemon. And
Okay, as much as I wish that Komodo dies meant the totem it doesn't. That's
I use
not
my
what it
first turn
means.
to poison the Komoa with Toxic as
more Toxic still.
Claw, but I've got a Haban Berry just so that Batman can survive the hit.
Yes,
then
Batman,
after
die!
Some poison damage, Komoa, of course, calls its ally Pokemon its own Noivern.
Sack.
I decided to then go for Protect to get a little bit more poison damage before it's time to swap out into Superman. Because of Intimidate, we are going to bring the attack stat of Komoa
swap out, bring it back in!
And as we get hit by Dragon Claw, another one of our farmed Haban Berries is going to reduce that damage, which means we can survive the Dragon Pulse. We only
he's taking so much damage!
Turn, I go for Protect yet again.
One crit would take him out. One crit is all it takes.
It's time to swap out once again to Martian Manhunter. Pertinator does have by far the best.
So many Haban Berries.
But yet another Haban Berry makes it so that we can survive both hits and the next
turn go
Protect to burn another turn of Toxic. This being the
Damn, that's such a good tactic. He had so many Haban Berries there. That's insane.
Komoa goes down to poison, but we still have to deal with this Noivern that's super fast. I decide it's time to swap into Executor, who even without a Haban Berry can survive the Dragon Pulse above half health. After then going for a turn of Protect and tanking another Dragon Pulse, I decide to hit it with a Psyshock for a little bit of damage.
It's not going to do enough, though.
After then, yet again going for Protect, this means that Noivern only has one more PP of Dragon Pulse left, so I decide it's time to swap out into Green Lantern, who can survive it with another Haban Berry. And
is it going to outspeed?
Even though Noivern is faster and would take us out with a Dragon Pulse, it doesn't have any PP left, so we can just freely take it out with a Dragon Claw, winning us the trial. And while
that's so well calculated.
Ultra Necrozma is built different.
This is Ultra Necrozma. Stuff has got to die here.
Massive sacrifices are going to have to be made. I did mention earlier that I went out of my way to grab that Focus Sash just so that we're going to be able to use Toxic. I then go for Protect and...
did he just mention damage calcs? He just mentioned damage calcs. Ooh, getting close.
Elongated Man is just going to get taken out. I click Protect again and end up getting.
If he loses now, we get bingo.
I don't know if triple Protect is possible, and unfortunately here, Elongated Man is going to have to go down. But we got 4 turns of Toxic.
Rest in peace, Executor.
We only need 2 more turns of Poison, so of course I click Protect the first turn. And at this point, anything I swap in is just going to get absolutely annihilated by Ultra Necrozma. So I just decide to go for the 1 in 4 chance to get the double Protect. And somehow, by the grace of Lord Helix, we actually managed to pull off.
Really?
I've gotten 2 clutch double Protects in this fight alone, and 1 versus Lusamine.
Oh, he died to Ultra Necrozma. Yeah, we marked that on the board. It's a death to Ultra Necrozma.
After saving the day, the Ultra Recon Squad does offer us a Poipole, which does evolve into a Dragon type, but I've elected not to use it because Naganadel has some super busted stats, and pair that with the Beast Boost ability, together with its Poison type that would trivialize the next trial, I think we're just gonna skip it. Trial versus Rabombi with...
This trial is huge for us. We have Death to Fairy move, we have Komodo dies, and we have the starter, which is Noivern dying as well. This is huge.
+2 to every single stat. I then go for another Protect, after which I have to swap out into someone, so I go into Superman, who has the best special defense on the squad, except for Turtonator, who then gets hit by a Dazzling Gleam, but my Roselli Berry allows me to survive. The Rain boosted skull
Roselli Berry, of course,
resisted, so I get taken down to just 38 HP, after which I can
Protect again.
Go for the final Protect on turn 6, taking out the Rabombi. We do still have to deal with the Pelipper, but since the rain stopped and it can only hit us with not very effective moves, I just switch in Batman, who can swoop in with a few air slashes, finishing off this trial. And I'm incredibly grateful that I was able to get through this fight without any casualties, meaning that we have a full team of 6 going forward. But even though we got that's so rough, obviously threatening to our team, we have a lot more to go in this game. And the next fight happens to be the Grand Trial of Pony Island versus Hapu and her ground types. But after an Intimidate from Superman and a Charm from Wonder Woman, I swap out into the Flash, who boosts its speed with a Rock Polish and then boosts its attack all the way up to +6 with Work Up.
Get crit, get crit, get crit.
Just rip through Hapu's entire team in true Justice League
fashion,
winning us our final Grand
She's already dead.
Make sure to pick up as many heart skills as possible to relearn moves for our final moveset against the Elite Four, and so I nervously summit Ula'ula's highest mountain in order to take on the final gauntlet of Ultra...
Okay, so we could get no death in Elite Four, but there's nothing that really leads into bingo there, so realistically we don't want that. We want Komodo dying, we want some death to status, we want some death to fairy type moves, and hopefully, fingers crossed, we can still get one here.
I decide to get out of the way is the Gopher Kahili. She's definitely the one I felt the most confident against because Ula'ula has some pretty nutty Elite Four members. Obviously, I can't stay in against a fighting type, so I decide to swap out into Superman to not only get the Intimidate, but we can also easily just take this thing out with a Fly. Now,
he hasn't mentioned EV training yet either, which is, I hate it because he's been mentioning stats, like this thing has the best special defense on the team, but he's not mentioned like EV training in any of them. Which is...
Next Pokemon is Mandibuzz,
I wish he would.
And this thing doesn't exactly have anything that threatens us, so I decided to just go for a Thunderfang, which is a 2-hit KO, but it hits hits us with Flatter, which means I have to swap out the next turn. I tag out into Batman, who can easily finish off the Mandibuzz with a Dragon Pulse. Then since Toucanon is our next opponent, I decide to swap out into Superman to get that Intimidate to lower the attack. And I'm very glad that Superman has Intimidate because I get hit by a Supersonic Sky Strike down to just 15
God
HP.
damn, that is so much damage, Jesus Christ.
So I go ahead and swap into Flash, which is when I learned that it's actually immune to Beak Blast because of Bulletproof. It also seems like the AI
that doesn't make any sense. What?
Beak Blast because I can freely just set up a Belly Drum here and heal up a little bit with Citrus Berry before I just dodge another Beak Blast. It also allows me to just get a free Rock Polish, after which I can just start tearing through the rest of Kahili's team, winning us our first Elite Four fight. But Kahili's just the tip of the
iceberg. It's okay. There's still 3 more to go. There's still 3 more. Come on, we can do this.
The Never-Ending Nightmare, which is the second time a Z move takes me down into the red.
God damn!
Shadow Ball, I swap into Flash, who's immune to it with Bulletproof, and then expecting an Earth Power, I swap out into Superman once again to dodge it. I realized at this point that I found a double immunity pivot. As long as I kept switching between Bulletproof and a Flying type,
he's gonna PP stall them out, isn't he?
Do to stop me. And so you get to witness the return of Antler Joe live.
Make a prediction. Come on. Please, Acerola.
Palisand had left was Giga Drain.
Oh, come on.
Resist Grass by switching into
You'd think by like the 15th time he had made the same switch, Acerola would clock on and be like, oh, he's probably gonna switch this turn. I should do something about this.
Trying to do a bit of damage to this thing with Flamethrower. Although Acerola didn't really
stupid idiot
like
Acerola,
since she immediately swapped out into Delmise after getting hit by 1. I didn't exactly see that as a huge hindrance since we can just 2-shot it with Flamethrower, leaving just Palisand and Drifblim. Acerola's Drifblim only has Ominous Wind as its attacking move, but what it can do is go for Amnesia and then baton pass that out to Palisand. And even though that
doesn't matter though, it has nothing.
Be able to tank Flamethrowers better, it really just prolongs the inevitable since it can only hit me with Giga Drain. After Palisand goes down, all
Acerola is a moron. She's straight up the worst trainer. How did she get into Elite Four? Whoever let her in, fire them immediately.
Drifblim that only can use Ominous Wind, which promptly goes down to Toxic. At this point, we've defeated 2 of the 4 Elite Four members, which means we have to take on the girl of my dreams. You could even call her my rock, Olivia. She starts the fight with Armaldo, and I match her fossil to fossil with my best defender, Wonder Woman. She hits me for about 25% damage with an X-Scissor as I set up my Stealth Rocks. Another X-Scissor hits me down into the yellow as I go for a Charm to lower the attack of this thing. Because of that, I can tank another X-Scissor and hit it with another Charm to basically render this thing useless. I then get an absolutely free switch into Flash, who can dodge Rock Blast with Bulletproof and then freely set up a Belly Drum.
Bulletproof has come in handy more in this playthrough than it has ever come in any playthrough for anyone ever before. The cumulative experience of gameplay from every other player of Pokemon has not used Bulletproof this much than was one playthrough by Antler Boy.
Molayne. And he could definitely present us with
I can't believe this character's even in the Elite Four.
Do resist Dragon types. I lead off with Wonder Woman, who I've given up a Berry Berry in case this Klefki wants to go for Flash Cannon, try to one-shot me so that I can get up my Stealth Rocks. After the deed is done, I swap into Martian Manhunter as the Klefki starts
Break
to
and study with Stealth Rocks. That's smart.
At this point, I was kind of expecting getting paralyzed by this thing's Thunder Wave, but it just goes for Flash Cannon, so I get to use Flamethrower. The next turn, the Klefki repeats the exact same odd behavior, and at this point, I can just take it out. This, of course, means that Molayne's gonna want to swap in his Dugtrio to be able to take out Turtonator with an Earthquake. This right here is an obvious opportunity for us to swap into Superman to start intimidating down the Dugtrio. I got my first Dragon Dance and then just set up to +6. Then once all my boosting was done, I could just start clicking Earthquake and take out every single Pokemon on Molayne's team.
God damn, it's just destroyed them.
Turn. And now
bro, this AI is so bad.
The Elite Four unscathed, we have...
Okay, this is the final battle. We did get no deaths in Elite Four. It's not super helpful, but it's something. We really need Komodo to die. We need... Oh god, can we still get it? We need him to make an Amogus joke and also lose. Or game over. We need him to lose this fight. Basically, if he wins this fight, then he wins. But if he loses this fight, then we win.
One final
we can still get bingo here. We need him to lose the fight.
And this guy's got a pretty frightening team of 6, leading off with Raichu.
Here we go.
So I choose to lead with Green Lantern. And against
you need
Raichu,
to lose this fight,
I can
please.
take at least 1 Psychic, meaning I can get off a free Earthquake here, which is obviously a one-shot. Since Flygon's quad weak to Ice, this is going to bait out Crabominable, and wanting to save Flygon for later, However, I swap out into Turtonator. After dodging the Ice Hammer, I take massive damage from a Stone Edge, after which I hit it with a Flamethrower, which takes it down low.
Come on,
and gets the burn. Because of this,
how for once in your life, please, for the love of God, do something useful and win.
How's next Pokemon is going to be Primarina.
Fairy type move.
Being able to outspeed and even doing some pretty decent damage with close combat, there's no way that the Flash is outrunning that quad.
There we go. We got two there. Boom. Komodo dies and death to a fairy move. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on.
Completely honest,
let's go.
I don't have too many
if Noivern dies, we win.
Options against this Primarina, so I send in Superman and go for a Thunderfang, which doesn't quite
let Noivern die. Let Noivern die.
Superman gets powered up by the sun. It seems it gets taken out by the moon. I then send in Flygon as Hal goes for a full restore on Primarina, and I go for an Earthquake, hoping it does above half, but it just barely does below. I click Earthquake again to get it as low as possible, but I end up getting a high roll, actually just taking out the Primarina. Predictably, Crabominable comes back, but since I can just outspeed with Flygon and the Crabominal's in the red, I can just take it out with an Earthquake. At this point,
it's not over yet.
He has Noivern left.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet.
Anything into a Dragon Pulse, so unfortunately, we have to let
Noivern has to die.
Go. However, because of Flygon's noble sacrifice, we can end this thing the way we started it and send in Batman finishing off
Noivern versus Noivern. Damn it! It doesn't count if How's Noivern dies. Oh, it was so close. Come on, ask to subscribe.
Something else, but in the end, we pulled through. And listen, if you're at this point in the video and you're not subscribed to the hey, Turtonator, what are you doing?
No, ask. You have to finish the sentence. 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 Oh my God, he didn't even ask.